Well, good evening, everybody. I saw the doors closing, and I was a little skeptical because we got a clock up here, and it says 6:58. So I was like, Mr. Steve Brogdon must need a little extra time if they're closing at 6:58. But then I noticed that it's actually 7 o'clock. So we're right on schedule this evening. It's good to be in the house of the Lord. Thanks for coming out to our Wednesday night Bible study here at Peace. Thank you for those who are tuning in on Facebook that couldn't make it here this evening. We're going to get started with a little bit of worship. If you will, stand with me. We're going to start by singing Since Jesus Came Into My Heart. We're going to sing verses 1, 2, and 5. I'm not sure what page it is in the hymn book, but you're more than welcome to grab one of those books if you would like to. But the words will be on the screen for us this evening, so let's sing this together. What a wonderful change in my life has been wrought since Jesus came into my heart. I have light in my soul for which long I have sought since Jesus came into my heart. Since Jesus came into my heart. Since Jesus came into my heart, floods of joy o'er my soul like the sea billows roll. Since Jesus came into my heart, I have ceased from my wanderings and gone astray. Since Jesus came into my heart. And my sins, which were many, are all washed away since Jesus came into my heart. Since Jesus came into my heart. Since Jesus came into my heart. Floods of joy o'er my soul like the sea billows roll. Since Jesus came into my heart, I shall go there to dwell in that city I know, since Jesus came into my heart. And I'm happy, so happy as onward I go, since Jesus came into my heart. Since Jesus came into my heart. Since Jesus came into my heart. Floods of joy o'er my soul like the sea billows roll. Since Jesus came into my heart. Amen. If you will remain standing, let's sing one more this evening. We're going to be singing 10,000 Reasons. Together this evening. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name, sing like never before, oh my soul, I worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing Your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. So bless the Lord, soul worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh, my soul, I worship Your holy name. You're rich in love and You're slow to anger. Your name is great and Your heart is kind. For all Your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing Your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. So bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I worship Your holy name. Sing like never before. Oh my soul, I worship Your holy name. Amen. Thank you for that wonderful singing. You may be seated this evening. And at this time, I'm going to turn the service over to Brother Steve Brogdon as he's going to be coming and bringing us our Bible study for this evening.
Is that, there you go. Well, good evening. It's good to be in the Lord's house. You can cut me down a little bit there, brother. It's good to be here tonight. I'll tell you, like Liz Taylor told her fifth husband, I won't keep you long. Those of you that don't know who Liz Taylor is, just ask some of these older people. Ask Harry, he can tell you. That was probably back in the 30s or 40s. Where's Harry at? Wherever, he's back there. He's back in the 30s or 40s. So, no, we're going to be kind of short and sweet tonight. A couple things I want to go over tonight. I don't know why Brother Glenn asked me to speak tonight, but I pondered two things, and when he asked me, I kind of thought either he was drunk or he didn't have anybody else to speak. Which one was it, brother? Both? So I appreciate him doing that. There is something I would like to do tonight. Brother cut me way down. Okay. There is a couple of things I would like to do tonight, and one of them is, Brother Glenn, I don't know what you got planned right after as far as prayer, but what I would like to do before we leave tonight, since we've got all three of our deacons here, I'd like to have a special prayer for our deacons tonight around the altar, and any of the trustees that are here. So, Brother Glenn, if you would, I'm going to cut off in time for us to do that. I'd like to have a special prayer for our deacons and some of our trustees that are here tonight. I want to just talk to you a few minutes tonight. One thing about our trip that we to the National Association of Free Will Baptists for our convention this year, which was a great convention, by the way. I've been to 18 of them, and I've enjoyed all of them, but this year was very good. It was very special. I think Brother AC and has been more than me, Brother AC and Brother maybe one or two more that has been. But anyway, it was a good convention. We enjoyed it. Having to babysit Brother AC and Brother Ed was a challenge. I tried to get them to follow me as close as they could when we were going somewhere, but every now and then I'd have to turn around and y'all come on. I learned, Brother Ed was in here, but I found out that Brother Ed's been to so many conventions that with his first convention, Moses was moderator. He's not in here. That's not as funny as it would be if he'd be in here. I've had really and truly, I love Brother Ed, y'all. I pick on him a lot if y'all have noticed that, but I do pick on him a lot. But I love Brother Ed. First time I met Brother Ed was over in Temple many years ago. And I seen him coming in the side door. He was coming to get, I think Elizabeth maybe, or Kayla, one of the two. They were little at the time. And I seen him walking in the door and I said, "Here comes Sergeant Carter." And he just had that solemn, that look on his face. And so I kind of had to break that ice with him over the years and had to kind of break him in a little bit and get him used to me and all that. And so I've picked on him for a long time. But I will say this, and I wish he could hear, he's missing all this. Maybe he can hear me through there. But when he can, I hope he can hear. Oh, there he is. Look at it. Yeah, he's up there. Brother Ed, I look here. Brother Ed's daughter and I me and Debbie loved his daughter and her husband, Bruce. He was our pastor for a long time. And I used to say that Crystal and I were like brothers and sisters. Until it dawned on me, if that's the case, then Ed would be my dad. I quit saying it. I didn't say it anymore. So, but no, look, these guys mean a lot, and brother, they did. But we had a good time at the Nationals. Get back on that. We had some great sermons. This year's theme was "As I Go." Acts 1:8 was the theme, and we had a lot of good preaching. Let me tell you, going to the Nationals is not as easy as you think. There is a lot of work in it. You've really got to go. Those of you that have been, you know you're going to go from the time you get there, morning to night, and sometimes late into the night. You're going somewhere doing something. We had some great seminars this year. Brother Ed and I both attended a lot of different seminars. And let me tell you, you can learn a lot at these things. You would pay hundreds of dollars to go to a seminar like we attended. So you need to go if you do. Dr. Ed Moody, which is our state, which is our national director, spoke at one of them, and it's First Aid for Your Emotional Hurts. That was a great seminar. And so we were able to do that. Some of the adults, a lot of the people get the conception that the Nationals are more for the teens and for the kids and things. I'm telling you, it's not. The adults get as much out of it, if not more, sometimes. And with some of these seminars and great services, great singing, great music. The kids, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I heard it was like 3,300 of the Vertical 3, which is the youth. There was about 3,300 of those registered. There was about 4,900 registered as far as the adults. And so we had a good convention this year. Number one, if you know anything about Free Will Baptist, and a lot of you in here, and I don't want anybody to answer me, okay, because we're going to save this for later. I hope I would encourage us. Matter of fact, I would recommend that we get Brother Joe McKnight to do a study on the history of the Free Will Baptists and where we're at in our movement. And it could be a series done, but Brother Joe is willing to do that. If y'all will just, let's do that, because we've got a book, what we call the Treatise. And then this Treatise gives you a lot of information. And Brother Joe, this is the update. This is 2023, and I'll personally make sure you get one tonight. But this is our Treatise. Now let me put an exclaimer in here. I am a Christian first, okay? This treatise is good. It's good to have, but I'm a Christian first. But everything written in here is scriptural, it's biblical, and we as Free Will Baptists go by this. If you're fairly new in the Free Will Baptist, you need to get one of these and look at it and read it. I would recommend doing that. Don't answer me, but what if somebody would come up to you and ask you, where do you go to church? Well, I go to Peace Free Will Baptist Church. Okay, what's a Free Will Baptist? Can you answer that? You need to know. Free Will Baptist started, and I'll just quick, and I told Brother Joe I wasn't going to get into this because he knows a whole lot more than I do. He's forgot more than I can remember. And so, but in 1730, I think, Brother Joe, the Palmer movement started, and then in 1780, it was the Randall movement started, and then in 1935, the two joined together and became the National Association of Free Will Baptists. I think if you're going to be a member of a church and you're going to be a Free Will Baptist, then you ought to be a Free Will Baptist. If you're going to be a Pentecostal, be a Pentecostal. If you're going to be a Methodist, be a Methodist. Amen. And that's just the way it ought to be. You need to know what our doctrine is, and it's in this book here. But some of it may confuse you, and if you don't understand it, then that's why we got Brother Joe here with his knowledge and experience to do that. It would do us good for him to do this study, and I'm talking about doing it soon, because the sooner the better, because we've got new members here at Peace. I don't know if y'all know that, but we've got new members, and some of them may not know what Free Will Baptist stand for. So they need to know. And again, I'm a Christian first, but I firmly stand on the doctrine of the Free Will Baptists. And that's where we need to be. Anyway, and then at the Nationals, we had this is our digest, which is, and I've got 4 of these. I'm going to leave them outside tonight so you can pick up one if you want to look at it. Now, it may bore you to death, but if you like numbers and graphs and charts and stuff, this is, you need to look through it. This gives us all of our national departments and their reports for our National Associate, for our missionaries, for Master's Men, for the ladies' ministry. It gives the youth, the Vertical 3. It gives us all the reports in here. It has all the numbers, and it gives you all the salaries of the people that work for the National Association of Free Will Baptists. It gives you the churches that gave to missions and stuff. There's a lot of good information in here. If you're interested and picking up one of these and taking it home and then bringing it back when you're done with it so somebody else can look at it if they want to. But I've got 4 of them, and I'm going to set them out there on the table. I've got about 4 of the treaties too. So if you want to pick up one of these, and we can order more of these treaties. They're not that expensive. Ms. Donna will be glad to order some if we need to get some more. But I would recommend picking up one of these treaty books and looking at it, especially as Brother Joe goes through this. That, you need to look at it. And but it wouldn't hurt. Again, if you're going to be a Free Will Baptist, be a Free Will Baptist. And also I've got, if you want to look at it, this was the program during the Nationals. It's got our people's name in it that participate and stuff. I'll leave them up there in the schedule, stuff like that. This is all past, but it's just, if you're interested in going next year, it will be in Tampa, Florida. I'll tell you one thing that's in here. This is what it says. We believe the scriptures are infallible and inerrant. The Bible is without error, trustworthy in all its teaching. That's what we believe as Free Will Baptists. I just highlighted that one thing because I just wanted you to know that that book's written by man, but it's also come from this book right here. So, saying that, and I would encourage you again, if you want to, especially get your kids involved in competition. We had some good competition this year. It's tough, but it teaches them a lot. It really does. It teaches our kids a lot, and they can learn a lot from it. I'm going to bring to you just a short Bible study tonight, because the theme that I've been hearing here lately through preaching and teaching has been trust and obey. We ought to trust and obey God at all times, but when you go through valleys like we're going through, we need to trust and obey. And that's kind of my theme tonight, is to trust and obey. And I've heard that throughout the preaching in the last few weeks, is pretty much being, and Brother Ed hit on it several times when he was speaking a few weeks ago. So let's continue with that theme. We're going to be in 2 Kings chapter 5, And again, I won't be long because I do want to give us time to pray and take some prayer requests tonight. But 2 Kings chapter 5, God does have a sense of humor. And I think in this chapter here, God really has a sense of humor in a way, if you look at it that way. But Elisha performed roughly 32 miracles, maybe 33. Some scholars say 33, some say 32. But we're going to only look at one of them tonight, that Elisha performed just one of these miracles out of all that he did. The man Naaman, I'm sure everybody has heard this story, but it's a good story. I thought about this when we're going through some trials and tribulations about how we've just got to trust and obey. It's just a matter of just lifting our head up and saying, okay, God, I can't do it. I've got to trust you. I've got to obey. And look, we ought to do that all the time. I mean, this is something we shouldn't have to preach or teach, but we ought to do this all the time. But in 2 Kings chapter 5, he says, Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance into Syria. He was also a mighty man of valor, but he was a leper. Now let me stop there just a minute. He was a mighty man of valor. Look here. Naaman was a Green Beret. All right, he was a Navy SEAL. He was a commander. He was a mighty man of valor. When the Bible tells you somebody is like this, now let me throw this out there. Naaman also was a pagan at the time. Will God use somebody like that? Absolutely. He has throughout all of history. He's used Pharaoh, Nebuchadnezzar, Cyrus, Alexander the Great. God's used a lot of people over the years that were not believers. And so he said this, that and when the Bible spells out the character of somebody, folks, that's special to me. When the Bible actually says he was a man of valor, that God is giving him a compliment. The Bible is complimenting me and you. When somebody gives you a compliment like that, take it to heart, because it's good. The Bible does it, we ought to do it. The Lord will call out people and he'll say, man, this was a special person. This was a man of valor. He was a commander. He was a fighter. And then in verse 2 it says, And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. Now here's a servant girl that was brought out of Israel. So that tells me she was probably a Jewish girl that was a Christian. She probably was a believer. And she was in Naaman's house taking care of Naaman's wife. See, Naaman was a pretty well-known guy, so he had servants. And this maiden here, this girl was her maid or took care of Naaman's wife. And so that's why she's in the house. She was brought captive and she was there. But God had put her there. See, there's no mistake sometimes. We think, why has God done this, done that? God puts certain things in front of us in our lives that we don't see that might help us later on down the road. And that's why she was there. And then verse 3, we're going to read on down to probably about verse 8, and then I want to talk about this a little bit. It says, And she said unto her mistress, Would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. Now, let me say one thing. Leprosy back in those days, there was no cure for it. Here's a man with a death sentence. He was going to die if something didn't happen. There was no cure for leprosy. So he pretty much had death sentence written on him if he had leprosy. But now today's medicine, we can take care of that. But back then it didn't. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus saith the maid that is of the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed and took with him 10 talents of silver and 6,000 pieces of gold and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes and said, Am I God to kill and to make alive? That this man doeth send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. And it came so, when Elisha, the man of God, had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So she goes to Naaman's wife and says, I know who can take care of this. I know the man, look, that can take care of it. Isaiah wasn't a miracle healer, but he knew who could heal. He knew the physician that could take care of his problem. But she went and told Naaman's wife, said, Look, I know who can take care of this. Send him to the prophet Elisha. And so they wrote a letter to the king. The message had been sent to the wrong address. Get that. The message had been sent to the wrong address. The king wasn't supposed to get it. Elisha was supposed to have gotten it. But so somehow or another it got mixed up in the mail. Anybody have problems with the mail? I do. Amen. I have problems with the mail all the time. So I want to use that verse of scripture on them sometimes, but but it got sent to the wrong address, and the king got it. He got mad, basically, and said, I'm just paraphrasing here, but he says, Look, I can't heal this man. What are y'all sending me this for? I said, I can't heal him. So he got mad about it and rent his clothes. And Elisha found out about it and said, Hey, that was supposed to be for me. Y'all send him to me. And so he gets the message. Naaman gets the message to go see Elijah. And so he heard about it, and so he went to him. And then, so in verse 9 it says, So Naaman came with his horses, with his chariots, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. Elisha, you home? Hey,